In December last year, Jeff Hardy surprised fans and teammates alike by jumping over the guardrails into the middle of a tag team contest. Outside, he joined his legions of fans, shook hands with them, and took photos. This obviously didn't sit well with WWE, who fired him in the aftermath of the incident, although his brother, Matt Hardy, and wife, Beth Britt, maintained that he was okay. Jeff Hardy didn't break his silence until now. First up, Jeff Hardy regretful over his behavior last year. Now speaking on Talk is Jericho about the time, Hardy says the time is something he ultimately can't explain. Jeff had partnered with Drew McIntyre and Xavier Woods in the tag team contest. After tagging out to Drew, Jeff just didn't stay on for the rest of the match. Instead, he hopped the guardrails and was swallowed by his legions of fans. Drew called out to him, but the man had already disappeared by then. Of course, the WWE ran a quick drug test on the singer. It was later announced that he will be released from WWE. He may not have an explanation, but Jeff certainly does have his regrets. These feelings are not new. Apparently, a part of him knew even then that he was done as soon as he crossed the guardrails. In the heat of the moment, though, he recalls his behavior was unpredictable. Seemingly to himself too, we think. The drug test came out negative, and Jeff Hardy apologized to his co-workers, but it was too late. WWE mandated that he would have to go through rehab. As he explained in the interview, his history is why he lurched from the idea of rehab. In his last stint in rehab, Hardy had to report to an official every week and discuss progress with him. It was this routine that Hardy had grown sick of, could not do one more day. Next, that's who he is. Matt Hardy defends brother. Lucky for him, Jeff Hardy's family has been a rock-solid source of support during these unstable times. His brother, Matt, recently jumped to his defense, saying that the former world champion wasn't looking to get fired with his antics outside the ring. He agreed with his brother, saying that this is just the kind of shit Hardy gets onto, and shouldn't surprise anyone at this point. We think he's got a fair point here. More than his peers, Hardy is known to catch the energy of the moment. Fans might remember his 2002 match against The Undertaker. Before the brawl, Hardy pumped up the energy of the crowd, reminding them that he's been in many ladder matches, while his rival has no experience with them. This foolhardy approach to his job is just what made Hardy unique in a sport where people take themselves too seriously. Maybe, on the night of his last match with the WWE, he was seeking the same energy. As the Hardys admitted, Jeff's history makes organizations even more suspicious of him. Here is a look back at the times Hardy had to fight his demons. And now, for a history of run-ins with substance abuse. Jeff Hardy has not had an easy life. Like a master alchemist, he has taken every setback, failure, and delay and turned it into a stunning, even somewhat patchy, career. In his own admissions, it was during the rigorous travel schedules of WWE that he fell into substance abuse. Since then, a bump became something he could reach out to during a particularly hard time, or even just to power himself during a match. In 2003, his career was on an upward swing. He had established himself as one of the most popular tag teams of all time with his brother. Then, he failed a drug test, didn't budge from his decision to not enter rehab, and was fired by WWE. This must have been quite a blow to him. The man got hard at work at putting his career back together. On the heels of him getting sober, he got another offer from WWE. This time, he was suspended in 2007 after getting in trouble with the organization's wellness policy twice. In what seems to have become a pattern, he followed the suspension by bagging the World Champion trophy thrice, enlisting himself as one of the best single stars of America. Throughout this, his life was dotted by personal tragedy. He seemed unable to stick to routine, a problem that followed him from WWE to TNA and then back to WWE. At the beginning of his career, the man seemed unable to admit something was wrong. Now, however, that seems to have changed. The question we have is, will Hardy be able to turn his life around this time? So what lies ahead for Jeff Hardy? He's not too well at this point. After WWE, the man joined the Turner Network's All Elite Wrestling AEW franchise. But it looks like the man might need more of a push this time to stitch himself back together. Just this week, he was arrested on suspicion of DUI in Florida. This list of offenses against him included driving on a suspended license and driving under the influence of hard drinks. Now, this makes Hardy's third DUI offense in 10 years, so maybe this is just part of how the man rehabilitates himself. himself. The arrest, though, prompted quick responses from AEW. CEO Tony Khan tweeted out a statement saying that AEW will help him receive treatment. In the meantime, though, he's suspended without pay. Phew, this looks dire, but we hope this setback is exactly what the champion needs to come back stronger, cooler, and fiercer. And now, for other news. Starting with Rebby Hardy hits back at Enabler comments after Hardy fiasco. One thing is clear, the WWE disaster was hard for Hardy, but it also left a trail of destruction in its wake for people around him. Two of these people were his brother, Matt Hardy, and sister-in-law, Rebby Hardy. The close-knit family spends a lot of time around each other, which is perhaps why there was a barrage of comments blaming the couple for Matt's recent escapades. These allegations have only strengthened, since people with way too much free time on their hands learned that Jeff had been with the couple before his DUI arrest. Rebby clarified that she and her husband made sure Jeff was back in his hotel room safe and sound before they hopped on a flight to North Carolina. Heck, she even made sure her brother-in-law was not served alcohol the night before at the wrestling convention where he accompanied Jeff. She also reminded fans with raised pitchforks that a grown man like Jeff was responsible for his own actions. Hear, hear. Too many people in this country seem to think that a man in his 40s is some impressionable teenager or a toddler always at the verge of plugging his fingers in a socket. It would actually help Jeff a lot more if he could take full accountability of his actions and not get told that he needs a babysitter. Next, did the WWE film Cody Rhodes' surgery? Yikes if the answer is yes. Rhodes had partially torn his pectoral tendon during his fight with Seth Rollins on May 30th. During a subsequent weight training session, the pectoral tendon came clean off the bone. Nice. Later, WWE let Rhodes take on Rollins because no further damage could be done, apparently for viewers who take some kind of sick pleasure in seeing an injured man get beaten to a pulp in the ring. Just kidding. Rhodes held up pretty well on the day. Shortly afterwards, he underwent a surgery to repair his tendon that was filmed by WWE. Now, our mind went exactly where yours is going. Maybe there are some people in the WWE sick enough to think videos of surgery and shredded tendons could bring some relief to their audience. Apparently not. WWE will be using the clips for a documentary on Rhodes' time with the organization. That's actually pretty sweet. And finally, Jake Atlas unlikely to return to AEW. Rumors about his impending appearance in WWE have been rife since Jake Atlas was arrested on May 23rd on a charge of domestic battery. Back then, a verbal scuffle between Atlas and his partner had magnified into a physical fight. Things got so heated that a nearby witness had to intervene and tear the two apart. The question was, would Jake Atlas be allowed back into the ring through AEW with the knowledge that his history could taint the reputation of the platform? Now, news had emerged that Atlas will actually not be returning, and surprisingly, this has little to do with charges of domestic violence. So Atlas was apparently on a per-appearance deal with the AEW. He was quickly making his place as a leading star on the platform when he was stalled by a torn ACL. When he decided to undergo surgery, his contract with AEW was paused, and it went away in the time that it took him to fully recover. Looks like the lapsed contract really saved AEW from what could have been heated arguments and a PR disaster about Jake's presence. And that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Where do you think Jeff Hardy is headed? Is this only a minor bump in a career marked by many roadblocks, or should we be worried? Tell us in the comments. As always, hit like if you liked our video, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on future uploads. We'll see you in the next one.